Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is currently 12:26 a.m. on Friday going into Saturday. It is currently 16 degrees outside. It is very, very cold. And I just dropped off Tanya Jean a little bit ago. Went to the gas station. I got a fountain pop. I got a Diet Coke, because the Diet Pepsi was all carbonation and it was like foaming up. Tanya actually got a bottle of water. I hadn't eaten anything today, so I also got a bag of Lay's sour cream and onion chips, 2 things of Gouda cheese, and a package of Reese's peanut butter sticks. And then we sat in the we sat out in front of the gas station and I ate my food, and then we drove around for about, I don't know, 45 minutes or an hour, and we just talked and talked, and we had such a great conversation tonight. We were talking about all kinds of recovery stuff. I know it's probably, people think that every time Tanya and I are together we just talk about recovery stuff, but we really don't. But tonight we did. We talked a lot about recovery tonight. And it just kind of comes up. She had brought up something that I shared in the meeting the other day. We were talking about, like, I'm getting ready to do some inventory with our sponsor. And so I was talking to Tanya about that. And then somehow that kind of went into our meeting the other night, and Tanya brought up something that I had said in the meeting that I shared. And in the meeting, we were talking about steps 1, 2, and 3. And I was sharing that, you know, in early sobriety for me, I don't know that I really could conceptualize steps 1, 2, and 3. You know, it was just enough for me in early sobriety to not pick up and use every day. Like, that was like an achievement beyond, you know, like if I went to bed at night and laid my head on the pillow, which that whole conversation right there turned into another conversation that we had about us today, which I'll talk about in a second. But if I could go to sleep at night and know that, you know, I hadn't used that day, and I had just gone to some meetings and, you know, called my sponsor and read some recovery literature and, you know, maybe a fun book on the side and watched a little bit of a movie, and mostly I watched recovery movies like Clean and Sober and things like that, you know, then it was a good day. It was a real good day. And, but I don't know that I could really conceptualize the steps, you know. I know that, like, in regards to step 1, that, you know, I could admit that I was powerless over alcohol and substances because I had tried so many times. I mean, I knew that coming in the door. Like, I knew that I was an alcoholic and an addict long before I ever landed in a 12-step meeting, you know? But I don't know, and I thought I did at the time, but I don't know now in retrospect that I was really convinced that my life was unmanageable. You know, I think everybody else thought that my life was unmanageable, especially my father, but I don't know that I had fully realized that. I mean, looking back now, I know that it was completely true, but at that time, I think I was kind of like, no, you think my life is unmanageable. And, you know, like, you know, people would say, like, you have a problem drinking or using drugs. And I'd say, no, you have a problem with me using, you know, drugs or drinking and using drugs. But I don't have a problem with it. Like, that's your problem, you know? And I was pretty resistant to anybody that wanted to tell me that I needed to change my ways back then, you know? And so when I got sober, like, I just did what I was told out of fear of homelessness, honestly. Like, that was really my bottom. And it was just enough for me to get up and, you know, make a pot of coffee, eat a sandwich, go to a meeting, go to 2 meetings a day, sometimes more, you know. Sometimes I would just sit at this recovery clubhouse and I would just go to 1 meeting after another, you know, talk to my sponsor, see my sponsor, and that was it. That was early sobriety for me. And like, if anybody had come to me with like steps 2 and 3 at that time, I think somebody's texting me, I don't know who it is, but if somebody had come to me with like steps 2 and 3 at that time, which they did, I mean, my sponsor talked to me about steps 2 and 3, which is, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, and made a decision to turn our life and our will over to the care of God as we understood him. I think, like I talked about this the other day on here, like even that, and then going into doing a 4-step inventory, which is making a searching and fearless moral inventory of your life, like that was so like beyond my grasp of understanding, and I just really struggled with understanding any of that stuff. Like even the literature that I would read, like I love to read the stories, like I love to read the personal stories because I would relate to them, even if they were like real old-timey, like I related to them, you know? And I had my sponsor at that time would say to me, find the similarities, not the differences. Because I would go into any situation and look for how I was unique, you know? Like I would go listen to somebody share and tell their story, and it would be all like, well, I don't relate to any of this, you know? And he would say, you know, I want you to take a notepad with you, and when you hear anything that you relate to, if the person says I'm an alcoholic, then you write I'm an alcoholic down. If they say I'm an addict, you write down I'm an addict. If they say, you know, I went to school, you're like, well, I went to school too. And so then I had to write down all the similarities instead of the differences, you know, so that I could start to see that I wasn't so different. And that really helped a lot. Who is texting me? But yeah, like it really wasn't that deep for me when I got sober. It was really just like, don't pick up today. And, you know, even I look back on my idea of prayer at that time, because I really had no any God concept. And I remember, like, I mean, you hear this a lot in the 12-step meeting rooms, but my sponsor at the time told me, you know, like, I'm going to turn in here and see who's texting me. Said, you know, get on your knees at night and say thank you, and get on your knees in the morning and say help. I know that was basically my prayers back then, help and thank you, you know? It was very simple. And there was a simplicity to my life back then that I was just completely in love and enamored with, that my life had really not looked like that for a very long time. You know, I've talked about the coffee on here before, and I've talked about it on some of my other channels as well. What is that? It looks like a religious thing. Spherian, what is that? Staffing services, oh, that's interesting. But you know, like, at the beginning, my dad would take me grocery shopping once a week, and when I got out of treatment as well, like, he had stocked my refrigerator full of food. It was like lunch meat and 5 different kinds of juices, not even really like soda, and milk, you know, and potato salad and macaroni. I mean, every kind of like deli salad that you could have. I can just, but I had all of that. Like, I don't know, maybe that's not the healthiest of foods, but at that time that was like really healthy for me because I had been eating fast food like all the time, right? And so I would get up and, you know, I would make, you know, my dad had got me this new coffee maker, and I would make a pot of coffee, and man, I used the hell out of that coffee maker, you know? And it's funny, I remember when I replaced that coffee maker because I'd used so much of it. It was probably like after, well, it would have been in that same apartment, so it would have been sometime later that year, but I got a red, like, just real basic Mr. Coffee maker, and I loved it. But I remember my dad bought me a new coffee maker, and, you know, I would get up in the morning, and it's kind of sad when I look at, like, my last 6 months of using, where I would get up, you know, and my life was like, I would get up, and I was shaking so bad that I would have to, like, go into the kitchen and just, like, chug something, you know? And then I would sit on the couch and I would, like, you know, smoke a joint and then watch, you know, whatever was on TV, or I usually turn something on, like a movie or whatever. I had, like, 5 movies that I just, like, watched back to back then. And then, the last day was, I remember Charlie Brown's Christmas. I, like, watched over and over, kind of. But then I would go take a shower towards the, you know, middle of the, I mean, I didn't get up until late in the afternoon, so that was probably like 6. I would take a shower, and I would, you know, I was back then, I was eating Vicodin, and then I would stand in the shower and I would drink. And then I would, like, kind of pull myself together so that I could go down and see my friends before we went out, you know, to pre-drink before we went out. And then by the time they saw me, like, I had used all of this stuff and they didn't even know it, because to them, I hadn't, you know. And I mean, it wasn't like I was telling them about all of that stuff, you know. They thought I was completely sober. And then I would go out and, you know, until I blacked out, and then start the whole thing over the next day. And that was my life, you know. And then I got sober, and my life was like, well, until I started working in that May I started working. But before then, it was, I would get up, make a cup of coffee, make my bed. My sponsor was really big on me, like, in early sobriety. This was probably one of the best things that happened to me in early sobriety. I mean, he was really hardcore about making your bed, keeping your house clean, vacuuming, you need to be proud of your surroundings. You need to be proud of your home and your clothes. And as people in sobriety, as people in recovery today, we're proud of ourselves. And, you know, you get up every day and you take a shower and you do your hair and you put on clean clothes, and every day you do that, because as people that were using, we didn't do that sometimes, you know. And so he was really big on me about that. And so I would get up every day, I would make my bed, and, you know, I love to do laundry. And so I would, like, if I had laundry, I would do some laundry or whatever, and then I got up rather early, and, you know, then I would, like, make a sandwich or something, and then I would find a ride to, this clubhouse that I used to go to. And I remember there was a guy there that worked in the kitchen. I had, like, a little, like, sandwich shop there, and, you know, I didn't have any money. My dad would buy me, like, a carton of cigarettes a week, which he hated doing, and food. And then he would give me, like, enough money to, like, put $1 in the donation thing, and that was it. So I never had any money, you know. And didn't need it either. And there was this guy that worked in the kitchen there, and he would, like, make me cheeseburgers and stuff and give them to me for free. He was so nice. And, you know, then I would go out sometimes with my sponsor or some people from meetings. And I didn't do that very often, but, you know, people would buy me a meal. They would buy, like, we go to Perkins and they'd buy me, you know, an omelet or a cheeseburger and, you know, onion rings or a shake and something. And, like, that was such a big deal to me. I can remember back then, you know, like going to Perkins and somebody look at me and saying, get whatever you want, you know, I got your meal tonight. Like, people would, like, fight over getting your meal in early sobriety. And it's so funny because, like, that's such an honor today, you know, to, like, buy somebody's meal for them in sobriety. Like, I love to do that. Like, it's just such a cool feeling because it's like somebody did it for me and now I get to do it for somebody else. And it just was, I don't know, it just, you know. And then I would go home and I would be home by 10:30 or 11, and you know, then I would put on my pajamas. Sometimes I took a bath or a shower when I got home, and I would put on my pajamas and I would read a little bit of recovery literature, you know, usually my meditation book, or that same, like, you know, that, I think I had that Amy Dean meditation book way back then, or maybe I had another one, but I feel like I had some kind of like nighttime meditation book. I can't even remember now, that I would read, and, you know, I would read some recovery literature, and then I would read like some kind of fun book, like a, you know, whatever I had back then. I always, you know, kind of read like thrillers and stuff. And then I would get into bed, and it was such a bad winter that year, and I can remember like looking out the window and it just like snowing and stuff, and I had this big window in my apartment bedroom. And it was so simple, but at the same time, like, I felt like I had come home. Like, my life felt, I am truly like losing my voice or something. I don't know, it's maybe because I've been talking so much this week, but I felt in a sense that I had come home, you know, like, where am I at on time? How is my battery at the halfway mark already? Oh my gosh, I had my camera in the car. I have another battery, but I can't believe it. Please tell me I have another battery. Yes, I do. But, you know, like, I felt like I had come home to some degree. Like, I had this very simple life that was like, okay, I had food in my refrigerator. I had a nice bed to sleep in. I had a roof over my head. And I was so completely grateful for my father doing those things for me. And I had, you know, could get to meetings if I called somebody. And people were generous enough to give me rides and take me home. And it was this just very simple, good period of my life, you know. And I was telling Tanya that I think part of me feeling so peaceful and serene in the last year is, it's not like I ever got away from that, but I feel like my life has come full circle again. You know, I feel like she's mentioned this to me, and, you know, not tonight, but, you know, in the months past, that she's like, you're always like nesting anymore. You know, you're buying this duvet cover, or you're buying candles, or, you know, you're moving stuff around in your house and getting plants and all this kind of, she's like, you're nesting. And it's like, I am kind of, you know, it's like I have this home again that I take pride in, that, I mean, it's a small little house, and that's okay, and it's perfect for Alex and I, and it's our home, and I love it, you know, and I love coming home to the dogs, and, you know, getting into bed at night with my husband, and you know, just like seeing it snow out the window and things like I was talking about, you know, there, you know, making coffee in my kitchen or whatever. It's just like, I feel like I'm there again, you know, and it's such a good feeling. And I think that's why, like, the simple stuff means so much to me, you know? I think I'm reminded of those early days, and being reminded of those early days, I am also reminded of the days before. You know, I mean, I had a lot of fun when I was drinking and using back in the days, but I look back at, I guess I've never really seen how big this cemetery is right here before. My God, it just goes on and on and on. Or maybe not too far, but it looks like it does. I'm in Zionsville right now. But you know, I started drinking at a really young age, 12-ish, you know? And then when I was like in early high school, I was drinking by myself at my dad's house, you know, in my room when they would go to sleep. And I look back on that with a lot of sadness, you know? Because it was very, like, my life was very mixed. It was either, you know, listening to, you know, it's so funny because I have on my radio, I have radio classics. Oh, I have radio classics on here. Sheena Easton, You Could Have Been Something. I don't know that song. But anyway, but I have this radio classics that plays like old time radio tapes. Here, see what, it's the Great Gildersleeve right now.
It's Willard Waterman.
It's like that kind of stuff. And I used to listen to that, you know. And then I would, you know, read, you know, books and whatever. But it was either that or it was like I was drinking in my room by myself. It's just like this very tragic kind of dichotomy. And I look at that and I feel like just lost years, you know, lost days and lost years that I'll never get back. And, you know, I'm grateful for those days, to be honest with you, and all of that, because it led me to where I'm at today, to have an appreciation for my life that I really don't believe that I would have otherwise, you know. And so, but like, I think like in my love of cozy mysteries, you know, I was thinking about this because I started reading this new book by Dean Koontz called Elsewhere. And I didn't know what I wanted to read at first. And so I was like, I really want to read a cozy mystery. And I was going in and I was looking at my cozy mysteries. And I was like, oh, I don't know which one I want to read. And so I ended up downloading and listening to this Elsewhere by Dean Koontz. But like I got like an hour into it and I thought it was pretty good. And then it turned into this quantum physics, parallel universes thing, which, you know, normally I would really like Blake Crouch or something like that, recursion or dark matter. But I'm just not kind of really in the mood for it. And I think because I was so in the mood to just like read cozy mystery kind of stuff, because I think in a weird kind of way, it so is kind of reflective of my life right now, you know? I've just realized that what I have is just enough. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that I don't want to, you know, travel and, you know, get a place in Florida and have nice things. And I think all of that is okay. You know, I enjoy all of that. But as far as my life is today, like, I am completely content with the condition of my life today. And I feel like in a weird way, it's been 26 years coming. Like, I feel like I've worked on that ever since I got sober. Because there's been a lot of periods in that 26 years where I don't know that I could tell you that I was content with my life as it was. And I think that has a lot to do. There's this little shop up there that like sells all lamps and lampshades, and it's always lit up, and they have like 20 lamps upstairs, and it looks like this little house. It's so cute. But, oh, you know what? I get to go by this house that's always decorated, and it was decorated for Valentine's Day, and now I wonder what it's going to be. It was Christmas and then Valentine's Day, and now what I wonder what it'll be. They may still have the Valentine's Day decorations though. But, I think it has a lot to do with why I feel so peaceful and serene on a regular basis, you know? Is just being like completely happy with the condition of my life as it is. It's a total acceptance and gratitude, you know? Which... Oh, they don't have any decorations up right now. Just a light in the window. No decorations. I can't believe it. It's still such an adorable house. But I don't know, it's a really nice place to finally be, you know? When you get to that point where it's like, if my life was just like it is now for the rest of my life, like I would be happy for the rest of my life, you know? And I felt like moments of that. That was that. Do you remember me talking about that long icicle? It's still up. That's crazy. I've had moments of it, you know. Like I've talked on here where I've said, oh, there's one of those little like libraries, you know, where you take a book, leave a book kind of thing. So cute. I love Zionsville. It's so adorable in here. You know, I've said this in the last year a lot, that I think, you know, on a daily basis, we'll say things like, I'm sad today, or I'm happy today, or today was a great day, or, you know, like we're doing this today, or I'm traveling, or doing that, or whatever, right? But very rarely do we just say things like, I'm really content today, and just being okay with our situations. But not just being okay, because like I feel like that's kind of like, life is okay. It's like being appreciative of just being content and realizing and being grateful for how fantastic the conditions of our lives are, you know? That, you know, maybe we don't have everything that we want or desire in our lives, but would we really be happy if we did, you know? Or maybe realizing that I have it much better than I ever could have ever imagined, you know? Because I have to tell you, like, those early days of sobriety, when I got up and made a, you know, pot of coffee and just, you know, took a shower and read and whatever, and then would like come home and be cozy, you know, in my pajamas going to sleep at night. I literally had those button-up pajamas, you know, in like plaid, light blue, and something else. I don't know, but, you know, I look back on that and I think, going to a meeting, getting a, you know, a free cup of coffee in a styrofoam cup at the meeting. I cannot believe this battery is about to die. Oh my God, and I'm not even at a half an hour yet. But, you know, getting a free cup of coffee at a meeting, in a styrofoam cup, you know, and just sitting there and feeling so connected to people and coming out and just feeling like I'd had a spiritual experience, and just the taste of a turkey sandwich with some really good cheese on it, you know, or like that Jerky's mustard that my dad loves, because I can remember he bought me some of that, you know, and I don't know, just, I can remember whenever my dad would get me like groceries, the things that he would always buy me, he'd always buy me like the cookies that he thought I liked, or, you know, the chips that he thought I liked, and stuff like that. I mean, you know, and I look at that and I think like how, like, that was so sweet of him, you know, and, because all he wanted was his kid to not be drinking and using drugs. And, you know, I got real emotional on here one night talking about my dad buying me that coffee maker, and all, you know, I could just imagine him buying that coffee maker, just like, all I want is my kid to, you know, not get loaded and me have to worry about him and just make a pot of coffee. And you know what? For 26 years, I've been able to do that. For 26 years, I've been able to be that son to my dad. And that means a lot to me today, you know? But to wake up 26 years later and realize that what I was seeking, I found in that first few months of being sober, is like crazy, you know? And I guess I kind of always knew that. I remember I have this friend of mine that she and her wife live in Seymour, Indiana, where my ex is from, and I remember one weekend we went to go visit. I've shared this on here before too. There's like, I have no original news stories anymore. But one weekend we went to go visit her grandparents, who lived like in Jackson County, same county, but like they had this trailer on the river, and we were gonna go there and like make s'mores because they had like a bonfire right outside the trailer. And we went there, and it was so cute. It was like probably 10 trailers in a row alongside the river, and they just kept them out there year round. And then like they had like this big spot, like, you know, and like with, you know, the awning up for the trailer, and then there'd be like a bonfire, and then the lake was below, and or the river, and it just kind of was like this very still river. And we pulled up, and it was like every trailer canopy had like Christmas lights all over it, you know, and it was just really pretty out there. And it just looked like you just kind of came across this. I just remembered I wanted to read that book, Station 11. Has anybody read that? I downloaded that book like 2 years ago, and I still haven't read it. I still want to read that book. But anyway, I don't know what made me think of that, but something to do with a camp, I think. But I remember we just like came out of nowhere into this like river area, and it was so beautiful. And I remember we went in to say hi to her grandma, she was so sweet. And her grandma was always reading like those like big, you know, thrillers, like those Born Identity thrillers. And she was laying on the back, and it's like on this couch in there, and she was reading this. And I just remember thinking how cozy it looked. I don't know why, like I always collect moments like that from people, and I can remember thinking, what just like the battery's gonna die in a second, I gotta pull in here and change it, but it's almost at 30 minutes anyway. But I can remember just thinking like, what a cozy scene to just like lay on this couch, you know, like the river going by below, and, you know, us outside making s'mores, and she's in there reading this book, and her grandma has since passed away, but okay, I'm back. I just realized, well, I'm just gonna keep on going, but I was like, I hope I didn't just delete. Sometimes when I like start my camera, I just go in and delete everything off of it, which is how I've deleted videos before. So I'm like, I hope I didn't delete the last half an hour of what I just talked about. Fingers crossed I didn't. But anyway, her grandma has since passed away. But I always remember that about her grandma, and I feel like that was such like a moment that like she just gave me, you know, that was just like, I don't know, you know, it's like, I think the lesson for me is I've wasted so much time in my life, I think, yearning for something more or something different, when kind of like Dorothy says in The Wizard of Oz, everything I was looking for was in my own backyard. You know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes I didn't realize how in the moment, how truly blessed I was, and what a, you know, fantastic life I had. But, you know, and today I say, you know, I've been a life beyond my wildest dreams. I do. And I really, really do. And it's funny, the things that make me the happiest today, because honestly, the things that make me the happiest are the simplest, you know? And you know, I guess I kind of always knew that. Like, it's not just like this big, like, eye-opening moment that I had or anything. I mean, I kind of always knew that. I mean, when I look back on my life, it's like, I don't know why I'm thinking about this moment right now, but I'm thinking about like my Aunt Susie, and it's like, I remember, you know, Susie coming to visit, and especially as I got older, I think, because like when I was younger, we had so much fun. Like, her daughter would come too, and you know, they'd stay for like a week or whatever. But I remember the last time that Susie came before my mom passed away, and it was actually the October before my mom passed away, because it was homecoming at IU, and they went down to IU and went to the homecoming game, and they went to the Pi-Fi house. And so when they got back up to Indianapolis that day, I went over to their house and I saw them, and that was when I was with my ex. And I remember I stayed over there for 3 or 4 hours, and we got laughing so hard. And my mom and Susie and I would have these deeply intellectual conversations about books and philosophy and politics and just emotions and feelings. We got real deep, you know, always. And Susie and I still do when we talk on the phone, you know. And I can remember I just had such a great time that night. And they were, you know, Susie was gonna fly out the next day, and my mom was like, we'll stay for one more cup of coffee. And I was like, well, I should probably get going. I don't know why I'm gonna start crying over this, but, and so my mom was like, well, no, I'm gonna make another pot, and we're gonna stay up a little bit longer and probably watch a movie or something. I mean, it wasn't that late. It was like probably 11 or something like that at that point. And so I said, okay, I'll stay for one more pot of coffee. And they went upstairs and they put their nightgowns on and came downstairs in their nightgowns and robe. And, you know, we sat there with the fireplace going and talked a little bit more. And I remember when I left, I had such a weird feeling. Like, I don't know where I got this, but I went home and I was so emotional. And I can remember saying to my ex, like, I think that's the last time I'm ever going to see, like, my mom and Susie. Like, because, you know, towards the end of my mom's life, Susie didn't come to visit as often, you know, because there wasn't really a reason for her to. Her family was gone that lived in Indiana, and she had one friend from high school that still lives here that she comes to visit every once in a while. But so I got so emotional, and I can remember just like I was like unbelievably crying, you know, and I just was like, I think that's the last time I'm ever gonna see them like that together. And it was, which is so weird. And but then I remember when Susie came, well, she came for my mom's funeral, but then she came at another time after that. She couldn't come to our wedding, because she wanted to come to our wedding, but she couldn't come to our wedding because she had something to do with her daughter. They were going somewhere. So she came here, and Alex and I met with her and her friend from high school. And she gave us this beautiful vase from Tiffany's for our wedding. But then, it was right before, it was the fall before my aunt passed away, because she was really good friends with my Aunt Kathy too. And so my aunt was like a year ahead of Susie and 2 years ahead of my mom. And then my mom was like a year behind Susie. And Susie and my mom actually lived together in an apartment after college. So they were all three of them in the Pi-Fi house together. And so she was staying with my Aunt Kathy. And I remember we went out to dinner, like Alex and I and my Aunt Kathy and Susie and a friend of my aunt's. And then after dinner, my aunt was like, well, why don't you come over and hang out with Susie and I, and, you know, you can sit up and you guys can sit and talk. And I was like, okay. And she was like, now you guys can go sit in the basement and smoke some cigarettes and by the door and whatever. And I was like, okay, Aunt Kathy. And well, at first I was like, no, I'll just, you know, whatever. And then Alex was like, babe, why don't you go? So I went home and I put on like sweat shorts and went back over there, and Susie and I stayed up for like 3 hours. And my aunt showed us, we sat on the floor of my aunt's bedroom, and she showed us like this dress that she was going to wear for her 50th anniversary, which was actually the dress that Caroline buried in her, and it was beautiful. It was like this white lace dress that she had gotten for dinner when we went to, because she took us all to French Lick, Indiana for their 50th anniversary, and it was just, that was such a fun weekend. And so she showed us the dress, and she was really excited about it. It must have been like late summer, early fall, maybe. I don't know. I feel like Susie was maybe here for her like high school reunion or something. So anyway, and Susie and I stayed up real late, and that was really fun. I need to call Susie. We drank like, gosh, too much coffee, like 3 or 4 cups of coffee in a row. My aunt was like long ago asleep, and I remember my uncle was over at Caroline's house that night, and so we kept on going upstairs to the kitchen and getting more coffee. It was a fun night. But, you know, I think about moments like that, and, you know, the trip that we took to French Lick, and just silly moments. I'm laughing because I'm thinking about Caroline and I were playing slots at the casino, and Caroline's not a gambler at all, and so she sat down and she was like, I've been wanting to play this fish game all night long. And so when it opened up, there was like 2 of them, and she sat down at one and I sat down at the other one. And when I hit something, she was like, oh, that's the machine that I wanted. And I go, Caroline, if this is the machine that you want, then just take it. I don't care. So she was like, okay. So we moved. And so she sat down in my seat and I sat down in hers. And literally like 3 spins later, she hit like the progressive of like $1,200. And I was like, oh. I go, well, congratulations. She was like, thanks. I just knew it was going to hit. And then it came and they paid her out. And she goes, okay, I'm going to go back to the room now. I go, what? She didn't give me $5 or anything. We still laugh about it to this day, though, you know. And like some of the moments of like Alex and I just like getting just roaring in laughter about the silliest things, you know. And just some of those moments where he and I just laying there and like with the dogs in between us, and those moments have been the moments that have made me happiest in my life, you know? My drives with Tanya, you know? My drives with my mom. She and I would go down to Edinburgh, the outlet mall, or to the casino or something, you know, for a weekend, for a night. And my mom and I always had the greatest conversations. Sitting in the back patio at my dad's house, you know, while he's telling us some funny story, and my stepmom's painting her nails, and the dogs running around. The dogs are running around. I mean, those are some of my favorite moments. You know, being at Alex's, you know, family's house while everybody's dancing and playing music, you know, and the kids are playing video games, and someone's taking a nap on the couch. Like, those have been some of my favorite moments of my life, you know. And I could go on and on and on. I get so weird when I'm talking about this stuff, because I'm always like, well, I hope my life's not close to being over, but I don't think it is. Do you? I hope not. But I'm always like, I've lived such a cherished life. You know, I really have. There's really nothing in my life that I want for today, you know? Well, there's nothing that I need. I mean, there's things I want, obviously. I'd love to get a place in Florida, and I'd love to, you know, have our condo redone, and there's always things I want, but I don't know that even that would really change my life that much, you know? Like, sure, if we had a place in Florida and we could go back and forth, I mean, what a dream life, right? But if we had our condo redone and it was like the condo of my dreams, you know, God, of course I would love to get up every single day, but I love my condo as it is, even though, you know, it's falling apart in some places. I still love it, you know, it's our home. And if I never got those things, I would be completely fine, you know? It's like, sure, there are things that I dream for, and that's okay. And I think that's the other thing, like, I've realized, like, it's okay to want those things. It's okay to dream, to have those things in your life. It's another thing when you become consumed with it, you know, that, well, my life won't be okay or won't be good enough if I don't have those things, or, you know what I'm saying. I'm just feeling very, very grateful tonight for my life. And you know, YouTube is a huge part of that, and this vlog and you guys, like, is such a huge part of that. Like, I feel like so blessed every single day, you know, that, like, I always feel so driven to make videos, you know, and like Alex or Tanya will say, well, baby, you can like take a day, you know, and I'm like, I don't want to take a day though. Like, I want to make videos. Like, I love it, you know. I feel so blessed that people want to watch my videos or are interested in what I have to say, and or care at all, you know. And then the flip side of that, you know, I think is, I'm gonna use some of this lip gloss. I just opened this tonight. Allison sent this to me, so thank you, Allison, if you're watching. But I think she sent me 3 tubes. You know, the flip side of that is all the people that send me just unbelievably kind messages, you know, and share things about their lives. Like, so many of you share things with me about your life, and you allow me into your life. Like, I say that a lot, you know, in the videos and stuff like that I do, and but I really believe it. Like, I'm such a believer that we give our time and our energy to people, and the fact that people allow me to be in their life is like such a huge thing. It means so much to me. I think when I started practicing gratitude, like, I've really been thinking in the last 2 days about, like, what, like, because Tanya and I were talking about it, you know, the other day, like, really, like, what has got me to the point of feeling, like, so much more peaceful and serene. And I really think that gratitude is something that, it wasn't all gratitude, but it's a huge part of it. You know, and I think about, I've never read this book, but it was the book where Oprah talks about gratitude, simple abundance. And I think about those 2 words, simple abundance, you know, and the idea of that, like, when you start looking at what you have in your life and what you've been given, and it's kind of like you start and you make a list, right? But then once you start doing that after a while, like if you did the magic book for 30 or 28 days, like I did, or whatever, I think it's 28 days. It's like after a while, it just becomes like it's like everything in your life you look at, from this fountain pop to this car to this camera to vlogging to you guys watching my videos to this hat that I'm wearing to this hoodie that I'm wearing to being able to see, to be able to drive, to, you know, be able to smell, to be able to breathe, to all of it. I mean, it's just like you start just like constantly living from a point of gratitude. And when you do that, it's kind of hard to step away from that, you know? And you start seeing things, all things, from some point of gratitude. It's hard not to see things from a point of gratitude. And I think ultimately my life has improved greatly as a result of that, you know? Because then so much seems like a blessing. I feel so very still at night when I drive around with my thoughts, but when the snow is out, I feel like it even makes it more that way. Here's the hotel that we stayed at, and now we're driving by, or I'm driving by, and it's like I can see right into those rooms. It's kind of funny. I told Alex, I said, I had so much fun doing that. We could stay in there another night if you want. He's like, you had fun? And I said, yeah, I had a great time. And I said, it was kind of fun with, you know, you asleep and me getting to stay up late and watch that scary documentary. I said, but I did get very scared to myself. So he was like, yeah, we could do that sometime again. So that was fun, though. My days never seem like the days they are anymore. Like, Friday didn't seem like a Friday. It felt like a Tuesday, and it definitely doesn't feel like the weekend. I don't know what it feels like, but it doesn't feel like the weekend. Oh, man. Do you ever just, like, not really think about much at all? Like, you get to that point of, like, clear-headedness where you just don't really even... It's a point of, like, stillness in my mind. It's kind of nice some nights. You know, like, some nights after I'll turn off the vlogging camera and then, you know, I'll get ready to listen to my audiobook or whatever. Sometimes I just drive for like 10 minutes with like the camera off and just driving and just like being, you know, with my thoughts but no thoughts, because I don't really have any thoughts, you know, in that moment. And it's really nice to just kind of be calm and silent in that moment. I really talk so much. I mean, I do. From my videos to being with Alex to talk. I talk to the dogs all day long, you know, to talking on the phone, to talking to Tanya and hanging out with her. That it's like those moments of silence are, I really appreciate them. You know, I really had a good time the other day when I was like, I went to that Ritchie Woods and I walked in the woods when it was snowing outside. But I did get rather scared by myself at the end. Somebody said that I should call the police and turn that guy in. I don't even know what I would say. There was a guy walking in Ritchie Woods and he drove a red pickup truck. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, I mean, didn't get a good look at him or anything. Because as soon as I saw him, I mean, he was probably, I don't know, a city block behind me. I started bolting. Like, I mean, I didn't run, but I started walking at a very fast pace because I was like far enough from the entrance, and I didn't see that couple that was with like a dog and their daughter or son or whatever. I didn't see them anywhere out there, and I don't know how far that woods goes back, but and I hadn't taken my phone with me, which is weird. I usually always take my phone. I think I would have felt safer if I had my phone on me, but I didn't. And which I've had enough detectives tell me, always take your phone with you wherever you're at. So I know that. I can't believe I didn't take, I don't know why I didn't take my phone with me. I thought I was just gonna like walk in there and walk out. I didn't think I was gonna walk as far as I did. And then when I saw the bridge, I was like, well, I wanna walk farther because I hadn't walked that far in there before. But it really did kind of scare me. But you know, the thing is I'm really enjoying like being out in nature. Like, I really enjoy that. If I was a little bit more prepared and had on boots and, you know, maybe like, well, I said mittens the other day and somebody said, who wears mittens? I know a lot of people that wear mittens. I wish I had well, they're not mittens. You guys would probably consider them gloves. I think of mittens like this, okay? Like, Mel made me this scarf. I love this scarf so much. But I think of mittens as like this. And I think like anything that's kind of like this kind of cloth, you know? And I think of gloves as being like Gore-Tex gloves, if that makes sense. Is that what they're called? Like, my dad always had those big Gore-Tex gloves, you know? Is that what they're called? Oh my God, do you remember, you know what I just remembered? Did you guys ever have those gloves when you were a kid that would like they would be like all like green, and then if they got in the cold or in the snow, they would change and they would have like Godzilla on them, or like the Abominable Snowman or something. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Do you remember those? I don't know what just made me think about those when I was a kid. But we actually, I mean, we do have like mittens. Still, I have some at home that have the fingers off of them. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where it's like the end of your fingers are out so you can do stuff. I was gonna bring those out to my car, and I was like, well, if I have to do anything outside, those are gonna be just as cold as anything else, so I didn't. But I like the idea of being out in nature and stuff like that, but it kind of, to be honest with you, scares me. To be honest, it kind of scares me a little bit. I just, like, my imagination runs wild as far as serial killers and stuff like that. I don't know that I can handle all that being out in nature by myself. I think I need to be out in nature with somebody is what I need. I don't know. I'm going to listen to a little bit of my audiobook tonight, and then I think I'm going to try to I'm either going to watch the Hell in the Heartland. I have two parts of I have like 1.5. I'm like almost halfway through the 3rd episode, and then I have the 4th episode. So I'm either going to watch that, or I'm going to watch the Delphi I think it's a 2-part documentary that's called Down the Hill. Tanya said she had watched more of it tonight. I said, is it interesting? And she said it's just really sad. So, but I'm intrigued by that case. Maybe because it's so close. I don't know. So. Oh my gosh. Still so sad to think that Burger King is out of business. I think it was like a privately owned Burger King too, because when I would drive through there, it would say this is like a franchise owned by a single person or something. It had some sign like that it said on it, and I wonder if it's because of, like, I don't think that they left that location to go to a different location. I mean, that's kind of a prime location, and it's like right in the middle of the mall, Castleton here. I mean, it's not like I can't find it. There's another Burger King right over here. It just kind of, did I say booger? There's another Burger King over here. It just kind of makes me sad because all these businesses are closing. You know, it's like every day it feels like I drive by another business that, I mean, not literally, but it feels that way. It feels like I drive by a lot of businesses that have closed down. And this Rallies is closed down right here, but I think it was closed down long before COVID started. I was never a Rallies fan anyway. I always felt like if you had Rallies in your car to take home, it made your car smell like body odor afterwards. It always stank so bad. I never was a big fan of Rallies. Sonic, I liked those hash browns from Sonic. I don't know where there's a Sonic around here. I don't think we have one. I wish we had a Dog and Suds. Well, what could I get from a Dog and Suds? Because they don't have vegetarian hot dogs, I'm sure. But their root beer is really good. I could get a root beer float from a Dog and Suds. That would be really good. And A&W has restaurants too. I forgot all about that. I feel like we have an A&W around here somewhere, but I don't know where it's at. I need to eat less fast food anyway. I need to eat healthier. Gas station food is probably not healthy either, right? So I need to stop that. I mean, I know it, but it's so good sometimes. My Gouda cheese was so good tonight. All right, you guys, when the bad jokes start, which is always, it's time for me to get off here. So I'm going to get off here now, and I'm going to listen to my audiobook for just a little bit. And I'm hoping that it gets good real quick, because if not, then I don't want to not finish it, but I'm only an hour into it. So, and it was good at first, and now it kind of turned into something that I'm just like, I don't know if I'm going to love this or not. So I'm hoping that it gets better. Anyway, I hope you guys are having an amazing Saturday. I love you. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Be kind to one another. I love you. Bye. Love ya. I haven't done this in a few days, so I had to come back on here and say, one more, I love you. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.